All right, what's going on? Not a problem. Hey, so here's what I got for you this video. I don't know how well it's gonna go. It's not woodworking, sorry. I don't always do woodworking, but I do have a problem that I'm gonna fix. All right, twofold. One, I need to change out my handlebars on my motorcycle. This is an 06 Electra Glide Ultra Classic with stock bars. Not terrible to ride, not comfortable. So what I did was I reached out to Hill Country Harley Davidson, or not Harley Davidson, Hill Country handlebars, and I purchased a set of their 14-inch handlebars, 14-inch rise bars, with all of their controls integrated, their internal wiring. So I'm going to put on new bars. Second problem, right now I have, I don't know if it's, I'm probably not using the right language, but the 60-40 split. It's the stock exhaust where the front cylinder meets with the rear cylinder exhaust. So the rear cylinder is a Y. 60 of it goes down the left side of the bike, 40 of it dumps into the front cylinder exhaust. So I'm going to change those out as well. Put on some true duals. So I got a set of Cobra headers that are going to go and replace my current exhaust, and that's going to be the whole process. So I'm just going to get to work. Let me show you all the parts first, and then I'll reset and I'm just going to start working. So I'll probably try to do the strip down, tear down tonight. I'll get the grips off, the handles off, loosen up the clutch cable, the throttle cable, and get the outer portion of the fairing off, headlight, maybe even the running lights. We'll see how far I get tonight. My buddy is going to come over tomorrow and he's going to help me with the install because I've never done this. I understand the process, but we'll see how good your install video was as I go along. And if I find any parts that, you know, either A, you recommended that don't make sense in the video, or, and I'm talking about the install from Hill Country. He says it's a pretty easy task. We'll see. I'll give my honest opinion. And then, yeah, I'll let you know what I think about the bars as well. So that'll be, you know, towards obviously the end of the video. But we'll get this all installed, show you what I'm doing. Probably speed through the video, but do a voiceover so you can know which step I'm on and where I'm at and that sort of stuff. So anyways, let me show you what I got, all the parts, and then we'll go ahead and break this down and we'll get the install started. All right, here's the parts I got. So right there is the Cobra exhaust headers. This is the rear cylinder, this is the front cylinder. Those will replace my stock exhaust. I'm going to keep my same slip-ons for now. Maybe I'll upgrade later, but this is what I got. Moving down the line, these are hangers that I'm going to need for the exhaust. Those came with the exhaust, easy. I went to Harley Davidson and I got new exhaust bushings. Plus, for the handlebar, I need the clutch cover gasket. And then these are polyurethane bushings to go underneath the bottom of my handlebars. I figured while I've got the bars out, from what I understand, those are good for about 20 or 30,000 miles. And then after that, they start to get deteriorated in general. And since my bike has 80,000 on it, 71,000, 72,000, gonna do that. Also moving down here, you see Hill Country sent me all the cables I needed. This is gonna be my clutch cable. This is my throttle cable. I am going to replace my lower fairing because right now it's completely chrome, and chrome does nothing but blind you. I hate it. So I'm going to replace the accessory switch cover fairing with a matte black one. Moving over, here are the bars I got. As you can see, they're significantly bigger. And in the process, I'm going to end up changing out my secondary gear, what is this called? Gear oil, Syn-3. This is not the oil for the motor. This is for the secondary, or the primary and the secondary, which is in effect a transmission on a motorcycle. And that's all the parts. Hopefully I'll get in between today, the teardown, and then tomorrow. So like I said, come along. I'll show you what I got, show you where we're at, what we're doing. And you can let me know at the end what you think. Alright, so here we are. I started disassembling the controls, trying my best to leave it bagged up. I did end up working fairly long into a night, and then the next morning getting everything down and out. I am continuing to disassemble. This project actually ended up taking me significantly longer due to the fact that I received an incorrect part, so I'll explain that later on in the video once I get to that point, and I didn't get an actual picture of the new part installed, but I'll show you what the clearance issue was that I had, and I'll pin a photo up to the top. But all this is pretty easy. I'm just taking off my lower fairing, taking off my outer fairing, and right here I found out that I cannot get my switch cluster out without removing my radio. Since I have an aftermarket Soundstream radio, now that's an added step that I had to take care of, which is completely disassembling and removing my radio, which I've already done, and this is yet another day into the project. The friend that has already done bars before wasn't able to help me out, so I got my father-in-law. You've seen him in a couple videos. He's here helping me out as well. Right here is the point where we got to lean the fairing fully forward and expose the two bolts that hold the clamps that are clamping the handlebars down to the forks. Let me correct that. There's 4 bolts, 2 straps on each side, clamping them down. And this is where I'm trying to figure out how I can get the riser posts and switch out those handlebar bushings. Unfortunately, that wasn't that easy, so I moved on to the next step, which was removing the brake caliper, the brake line, and the brake lever. Part of the Hill Country recommendation is to just take the entire cable assembly off the bike so you don't get any brake fluid on any of the paint or anything like that. And let me tell you, that is true all the way through and through. So much easier to remove those. After I got the brakes off and got them out of the way, and I actually just left them off almost until the very end, just because it was so much easier just to leave them off and not deal with it, to be able to work with the rest of the bike with free and open clearance and no issues. Right here, you'll see me struggling trying to figure out how to get these bushings in. If you don't know, and I don't think I showed it, but there is not an easy clearance for those bolts on the bottom. You will actually have to turn the handlebars full lock either direction. So again, another issue that I ran into because I didn't have a bike jack, so I moved on to the next step. You'll kind of see that repetitive pattern here in this video. I got to a stopping point, got stumped, and in order to not, halt the project completely, I just moved on to the next thing I had to do, which all of it in the end ended up moving and keeping the project going. But here I am removing the stock exhaust, and that started with, early on this day, I would spray all the bolts down with some PB Blaster, loosen them all up. Here I'm removing all the heat shields on the throttle side of the bike. That was my first step. And then I started going around and loosening up all of the hangers,
the bolts holding the exhaust in any form. This actually turned out to be probably the easiest part of the build, if you will. Not so much build, but of the install. This was pretty simple, just removing bolts, loosening up the header flange, and then the hardest part that I actually had was when it came to removing that throttle side exhaust. There was a little bit of difficulty figuring out how to get it off in one piece. I didn't necessarily want to take a hacksaw to it and cut it into pieces, although I know that would have been the easiest route, but I did want to take it off all in one piece so that it would come off cleanly. The clutch side exhaust, simple, easy. Once I got the pipe separated, that just wiggling it back and forth came off pretty simple. After I got the exhaust off, I had to install a hanger off of my alternator mounting bolt in order to accommodate the new Cobra exhaust and have the band clamps at the right spot for that to line up and get bolted up. So I'm still leaving the exhaust off for the sake of clearance at this point. Yep, I have my helpers coming in. And now I'm just connecting my throttle cables and getting them run up to the fairing so that they're ready for the bar install. And then I'll get them onto the controls after I get the bars mounted. Now I'm starting to get to the point where I'm about to put my bars on, and this put me at a standstill for about a week, only because I was working back and forth sending photos to Hill Country Custom Cycles. I did exactly what they were saying, hey, check all your cables, make sure they're the right fit, make sure they're the right size. I was having some issues getting my throttle adjusted properly in the end, and this is where I started. I removed the clutch cover so that I could pull my clutch cable out, which this is me draining all the oil, cracking all the Allen bolts holding the clutch cover, taking that off, and then resetting the cable, which that part was all pretty smooth, pretty easy. It did stick a little bit as you saw me with the screwdriver, but it all went back together really simple. So all that's done, back in, lined up, good to go. Now I did get the bars on, and unfortunately I did not show you that, but here is the image, and this is the problem. The strap that they sent me was not shaped the same way, and therefore caused me to not be able to clearance that lower fairing and those switches because of that area right there. Now I did get the right strap sent to me by Hill Country. They worked with me the whole time. I had to send a few emails back and forth. The owner actually called me personally, and he's like, we've done thousands of these. I don't know what the problem is. And after going back and forth, they realized it was simply a mistake in shipping. They sent me the wrong one, but they fixed it, and then they did send me a new one out that worked exactly the way it was expected to work. And I ended up getting the handlebars on, no problems. Now this is where I'm trying to figure out how these dang bushings work. The polyurethane bushings are not designed, nor do they look anything like the stock bushings, right? So I did have to order a separate jack for my bike to put the bike on the lift on a jack so that I could then swivel my forks left and right full lockout in order to get that bolt out. And then on top of that, the bushings themselves were, well, they're exactly what they're designed to be, as much stiffer bushings. So as I was trying to bolt them in, they weren't seating all the way. So I finally got them in there, got them tightened down, and looking good. That's me lowering the bike off the jack that I had to buy to get this part of the process done. But overall, it worked out really well. Now, the reassembly, basically straightforward, same as disassembly. I put my radio back in, I put my fairing back on, finally got the clearancing I needed to, the clearancing issue that it was on that lower fairing, that's all knocked out, and I got this reassembled pretty easy, came back together, almost no issues once I had all the right parts. So, and then I did get about 3 or 4 rides on this with the new handlebars, and I must say, I'm pretty pleased with them. It is true, you know, a lot of people, and me included, I looked at ape hangers as, you know, people call them ape hangers as, oh, that's ridiculous, there's no point. I don't understand why people do it, and it truly does boil down to the comfort, right? Having my wrists down at my waist, cocked at weird angles, really is uncomfortable for me, being 6'2". So right here I'm wrapping it up, and I'll do some closing comments with it fully assembled, me sitting on the bike.
All right, well, as you can see, it's been a little while since I finished the project, and I've gotten, I don't know, a couple 100 miles on the bars with probably some good feedback, I think. So here's my opinion of the 14-inch Hill County custom handlebars. These I got in the black, pretty much blacking out my whole bike. And I did get them pre-wired for controls, both left and right. I got rid of the CB controls because I don't use a CB radio, nor are they hooked up in the back or anything factory. As you can tell, I have an aftermarket radio, which pretty much deleted any capabilities I wanted with CB. So I'll go over a few features real quick. Everything is basically the same as a stock bike, right? Everything is in the same location, same orientation. I did reuse my stock mirrors, though I think I am going to get some blacked out mirrors, probably, you know, sometime throughout the winter. I want to do a couple of other things to the bike this winter as well. So all the controls are the same, and I will say the quality, the fit and finish and everything is pretty good. I would say 90%, right? And my only down draw, the only thing that I have going on right now, which is, I don't know if it's a hill country problem or if it's just I got the bad switch, right? So my left turn signal sticks. You heard that, right? It sticks in. It doesn't do that on the right turn signal. Right turn signal is nice and tight, easy. I push it, turn signal goes on, push it again, it comes off. Left one sticks every time, right? So maybe I just have to use it and kind of work it into place. I don't know, but that's that. Horn works fine, obviously high and low lights, everything works well. Audio volume up and down for the radio, everything's still good. Mode selector, audio, this is the mute, good to go. The bike starts, no issues. Oh, I got it in gear. I'm not smart. Neutral, clutch. Kill switch works, run switch, everything. I already went over right turn signal, good to go, mode selector, and I have not tested the cruise yet. That is one thing I have not tested. So that'll be something I do next spring, after I get it all, tuned up. I usually swap out my fluids in the spring, so I'll do that then. Talking points. So installation. I did also do the Cobra True Dual Exhaust simultaneously while doing this. So some of the parts, some of the steps I didn't quite have to do like they did in the video. So I ended up removing the whole exhaust when running all of my cables. I did lift the tank. I did not remove the tank, right? It was easy enough to lift it, feed the cables through, get them set in on my throttle body. Running my grips was pretty, took me a little fiddling with it, but overall everything checked out. The clutch cable, again, everything worked. I routed it back down the normal route. Everything was good. I did adjust my clutch pack with the screw over here on the derby cover. That proved different. Not challenging. I don't know if I did it wrong the first time or too soon, but I adjusted it before I connected my lever, so I think maybe that had something to do with it. I think I was supposed to put the cable onto the lever first and then readjust that cable. Probably a user error on my part, so that was that. The grips, the controls, both the clutch lever and brake lever are amazing. That's all good. What else? Oh, you saw earlier in the video, the clamp on the triple tree or the crown or whatever you want to call it. I originally got the wrong one, but Hill Country fixed it. They found the right one. They sent it out to me, and works just fine. So, yes, good to go. What else is there? I think that's pretty much it. I had no issues with the cabling. Everything worked first time up. No electrical problems. Everything was smooth. I will say, right, so in the video with a stock head unit, you can remove this lower switch cover fairing. You can't do it when you have a aftermarket head unit until you pull the inner fairing out a little bit. Just food for thought. If you're trying to do this, know that that proved troublesome. What else? Anything else? All right. Overall review, overall impression. First of all, the problem was the stock bars are too low. On long rides, which I've done several 300, 400, 500 mile rides, with the stock bars and the angle my wrists are at, not comfortable for me. This, having my arms level, parallel, I am 6'2", having my arms level and parallel and comfortable and my wrists not cocked in, this fixed my problem. I will also say that moving from the, and again I'm probably using the wrong term, the 60-40 split exhaust on a stock Harley, good dear God, that rear cylinder, that rear pipe going down into meet up with the front cylinder, flaming hot. This, still warm, but bearable. Before, it was almost unbearable. So this, I think, is going to be so much better. Would I recommend adding this to someone's motorcycle? And do I think the average mechanic can do it? Yes, on both accounts. If you have some sort of technical prowess and you can troubleshoot this, you can get through it. There will be frustrating parts if it's not something you do regularly, but you can most definitely install. And I will say, Hill Country, you make a primo package. I absolutely love that everything came pre-wired. As an electrician, I probably could have done it myself, but the time that you saved me, you know, it was well worth it on my book. So definitely like the pre-wired stuff. So much easier, so much smoother. And it was one less headache I had to deal with, right? I think with every aftermarket install, there's going to be little nuances that you're going to have to figure out. Just so happened that, you know, this one, not too bad. Couple of hiccups, but we got through it, and I appreciate your help on that and support. The exhaust was easy. I mean, just bolts, right? That's simple. Just make sure you get the right model for your bike, you know, and then you're good to go. Other than that, I think that pretty much wraps up this video. Hope you liked it. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down below. If you want to see more stuff where, you know, life's a problem, I figure them out. It's not a problem if you figure it out. So go ahead and like and subscribe. Otherwise, I'll catch you on the next video. Let's start it up and let you hear it run for a little bit more. Or not. I guess I need to charge the battery.